Hey there, welcome to episode 155 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I am your host, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Dan Hugo, recording this at 2:36 p.m. on Tuesday, February 3rd. That's p.m. in the Pacific Standard Time Zone, by the way, here in Greater Vegas. On Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. We normally publish Tuesdays earlier in the day, but it still counts. Today's title and topic, Smarter Smart City Challenge, How-To Part 1. It's a mouthful. If you have never heard an episode of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program, or if you are unaware as to the nature of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, you've come to the right place. First of all, the Innovate for Vegas Foundation is a Nevada nonprofit corporation, so it's a real company. It's a 501c3 public charity. We formed our corporation in June of 2022. I think it was June 16th. And then we received our determination from the IRS in October of 2022. It was a 1023 EZ, if you're familiar. So it was a quick turnaround. We are in our fourth fiscal year. If you have filed the 1023 EZ, you know what that means. And we actually formed as Code for Vegas Foundation, based on the original Code for Vegas, which was a part of Code for America. Code for America sunset their brigade program, so we never really did rejoin at all. But we formed Code for Vegas Foundation with the intent to rejoin the brigade infrastructure of Code for America. Pardon me. But they shut that down, so we never did. And then the classic "I am not a coder" question would come up every once in a while. So we figured, innovate is a term that is floating around the Greater Vegas area. Innovate.Vegas website, Innovation District, International Innovation Center, where we used to hold our monthly hackathon meetups and so on. So innovate is unbounded. You do not need to do or know anything to innovate, really. I'm not a coder. Perfect. And the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program that you're listening to now is just talking about what we're working on, talking about how we're doing it, various ideas, possibilities. And today we're going to speak about the upcoming Smarter Smart City Challenge, how we get it started. So hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description. My voice is going to be fighting me today again. The weather, I think, is driving me nuts, as usual. The episode description will contain the show notes, including a summary it's 2 sentences. One of them is a little bit long. I'll read that. And then our links, the usual links. There is a URL. There's a domain. There will be a URL. There will be a website for the Smarter Smart City Challenge, and it will be linked from once we get that going. We're about 2 weeks into the meta planning, so still early, but we're rapidly approaching interestingness. So anyway, the 2 home pages for our organization will come in handy here. Innovate for Vegas, FOR, Innovate for Vegas, no spaces, no dashes, no hyphens. Innovateforvegas.org is our activity homepage, and Innovate for Vegas, same spelling, .foundation is our business homepage. Recall, we are a Nevada nonprofit corporation. We have bylaws. We have a board of directors with some empty seats, by the way. And what else do we have on there? There will be more. There needs to be more, but it's the business side, the boring. Our finances, our financial disclosures and whatnot. I'll give you a little hint. We have not received triple digits of donation dollar amounts. So we are. For 2024, we were sub $100. It's funny. It's funny to me, but we really haven't done any donation driving. So we have not asked for. We have a donation button on our website, but generally speaking, we have not been reaching out to people asking for money because we haven't reached that point in our plans yet. So all that said, Smarter Smart City Challenge, How-To Part 1. Let's get started with today's episode, because it is a challenge. So we started this when I've been talking about this in 2025. Thank you. I was calling it a Smarter Smart City or a Smarter City Hackathon or Smart City Hackathon, etc. So hackathon is a term that is reasonably well known, and some people have different notions about what it is. Many times people assume, oh, hackathon, yeah, you're talking about laptops and pizza and Red Bull and staying up all night and coding. No, not necessarily. So we started calling this a hackathon, but it's really a challenge which takes place over several months. That's crazy. That's crazy, isn't it? No, it's not. There is no official rule about this. Some typo there with a T. There is no official rule about this, but the examples I have been using here are the U.S. Congressional Apps Challenge, which takes place starting in May and ending in October. I think that's pretty typical. So in 2025, it started on May 1st and it ended on October 30th. So you basically, you sign up, you register. The U.S. Congressional Apps Challenge has some requirements about you have to be a high school student. I don't know if they do younger than that, but you must be of high school age, generally, under 18, I think. A finer point, I don't know if you can be 18 and in high school, but I think you have to be a high school student. Your high school in which you are enrolled must be in a district for a congressperson who sponsors the challenge. So in the case of Nevada, we have 4 congressional representatives, not senators, congressional representatives in the federal government. So as far as I know, like in 2025, all 4 sponsored. I don't know if there was a recent case where that was not true. So pretty much anywhere in Nevada, students can participate. And so they sign up and they got the green light and they commence May 1st last year. And they submit their challenge outcome, the project that they worked on, October 30th. Usually there's like a time, it must be submitted by midnight universal time or something. Who knows? That can be ascertained from the rules. So it's a multi-month activity. It is still quite early as I record this in the overall process that we're following. But we intend to have some sort of incentives or prizes or something along these lines. The Congressional Apps Challenge has I don't know if there's a first tier and a second tier of project judging and whatnot. And there is some sort of a winner per congressional district. So that's a way to start thinking about this. So that the effort expended through the challenge will result in something for winners of some assessment of the outcomes. So what is a winner? It's important. Well, I want to be slightly vague here since we have 0 sponsors and 0 prizes and incentives at this point. So still assembling the pieces, but this is Vegas after all. Incentives matter. So it is something that we are actively pondering. We will also aim to have at least 1, probably more like 2 or 3, or maybe even 4, who knows, hackathon style events through the challenge timeline. That is something we will be asking the early signups about as we enable the interactive planning conversations at the first phase of the timeline. What is that? Well, signing up early. So the Smarter Smart City Challenge is about people participating in the way Greater Vegas functions. More on what Greater Vegas is geographically in a moment. It makes sense then to invite people who intend to participate to have some input on some of the scheduling and other plans for this challenge, and we believe that people who take such an interest would be interested in signing up before we actually begin the challenge timeline. So in other words, you're going to be participating in something that has city or regional impact. Why not be involved in how that takes place? So we're meta planning now. We're doing some of the planning that's sort of foundational. Like, can we get some sponsors, for example? Once people start to sign up in the early sign up window, we can look at that as like a discovery phase. Like, oh, what is this? Oh, I'd be interested in this. And then, hey, what do you think we should have 2 or 3 or 4 hackathons? Do you think we should have more in-person gatherings? We want to enable sort of a hybrid model because not everyone has the time to participate in the events like this, and not everybody will be local, perhaps. We'll talk about that again in a second. Involving the people that will be, because we're asking people to consider being more involved or generally involved in the greater Vegas area in making our smart city smarter so that we can ask that they be involved in how that process will unfold. That seems to make sense in some ways. So March 1st is when we're going to kick off the early signups. That seems very soon, and it is. But we will be making the details clear that the planning process expands for this participation as we finalize a few things and get some inputs, probably with like a survey about the challenge and how it will proceed, since we do want some interactive elements on the calendar, for example, like hackathons, demo days, and other ideas. How do we do ideation around what topics to pursue? That's another one, right? So how do we enable people to participate that works for them? And who better to ask than them? So early signups. As well, we hope that those signing up early might consider reaching out to their friends and neighbors to attract their participation as well. Maybe get started early on forming teams if they want to. And anyone can do that at any time. There's no reason there's not a requirement to sign up. There is a reason to sign up, but not a requirement in the early sign-up window. Pondering different things they may want to consider as their focus for the challenge. Should people be able to participate in multiple teams and take on multiple focal areas for their challenge participation, plural participations? Signing up early is not a requirement to do this, again, but we also want to get some idea who is actually planning to participate as part of an overall plan. The overall plan, that's what we are working on now. And this is one way to do it. So who are the early adopters? Who are the people that are interested in jumping in? And to be honest, these will be the people who tend to be more entrepreneurial, or they might be familiar with what a hackathon or a challenge is. Maybe they've participated in a US Congressional Apps Challenge or the NASA Space Apps Challenge or other challenges. So they may have some idea, like, oh, I know what that is. I might be interested. So we'll see. You will find out. So those hackathons I mentioned, I've described these before. I have participated as a mentor and basically a facilitator in dozens, while I was working with Intel Corporation in the Maker Innovator Group. In fact, I have described these before in recent episodes, the way hackathons work and the minimum definition of what a hackathon is. The hackathon is not to be overly, there's no need to say, is this a hackathon or not, for the most part. I think hackathons can take many forms, and there are some assumptions that some people have. Again, so laptops, pizza, Red Bull, right? No, it doesn't have to be. The surface details, such as the start and end times, whether the intent is to have a continuous hackathon or long days that run together, a continuous event window, or short or long days with breaks between them, so it's not continuous, to go home perhaps, or wherever. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, right? Food and beverage, is that something that's on the menu? Literally, or is it bring your own? Whether there are hackathon incentives, like some sort of judging and prizes for the hackathon itself, and so on. T-shirts, stickers, the stuff, the mechanical components. Generally speaking, though, a hackathon is a ticking clock. So there's a start and an end, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of drama, and a theme or focal area, like Smarter Smart City, for example, and some sort of co-opetition, if you will, cooperation plus competition, where people can form teams and have a race of sorts to the finish line or not. The hackathon tenor is usually more about the fun and education than winners and losers, but that ticking clock and some sort of prize at the end are not uncommon. It kind of helps the energy level. I have been to hackathons that are purely self-driven. Just participate because you want to. There's no particular prize at the end. There's some demos, demonstrate what you accomplished, and there's no like, oh, your thing didn't work. It's purely about having a good time, collaborating together, a little friendly competition. That's totally possible. Other times it's, we're in a race to get to the big prize at the end, or, we want to get first place in the whatever, or we only got there, whatever it is, doesn't matter. The hackathon, or maybe more than one hackathon perhaps, would take place during the challenge timeline. So sometime between March 1st, although that's not the official start. And then whenever it ends, probably in January of 2027. but would not be a requirement. People would not be required to participate in the hackathons themselves. Part of the reason to have this challenge take place over a long time interval is to enable more people to participate on their own terms, according to their own schedules and responsibilities. So the hackathons would be a way to engage participants and for participants to engage with each other with some mingling and encouragement, but not required. Having more than one hackathon would similarly, thank you, bring some flexibility to participate in one or all or whatever works. This was when we first formed it was Code for Vegas Foundation. We discussed having hackathons more frequently than, once every whatever, right? Every once in a while you would hear about a hackathon in Vegas and, oh, hackathon. And then it would be canceled for lack of participation and so on, because it's an unusual thing. So we wanted to start making them a usual thing, bring out the innovators. Right? And the very first response was, oh, I don't have time because I would go to work on Monday, so I can't stay awake all weekend. And so these are people that were familiar with hackathons, but they are also now adults with responsibilities and family and work and so on. So normally hackathons are aimed at students, college students, high school students, others. Not always. And sometimes a hackathon I think there's a hackathon at DEF CON. There may still be hackathons at reInvent. That's the Amazon AWS gathering in Vegas. And there are probably others, and there should be more. There are opportunities to ideate, to share ideas, ponder ideas, share ideas, maybe come up with potential solutions in the innovation phase and so on. So, they can take many forms. That's the important part. They're doing these in a flexible way that would enable people to participate if they can, but not requiring it is the take home, if you like. So yeah, having some idea of what your schedule is. And by the way, this is not going to be like, there's no registration fees. The signing up is really more for communication, so we can figure out how big the event is, the overall participation. So there's not, we're aiming at any age friendly within the parameters of parental permission and COPA for online participation of people under 13. We want to keep it safe for everybody. Keep parents informed so that nobody's, no rude awakenings, hopefully, but yeah, no upper age limit. And then, that's about it. There's really, a method of contact and knowing the scope and grandeur of this undertaking are the reasons to have signups at all, early or general. And also there will be a point if we do have an incentive structure, some way of contacting people about that, right? Hey, guess what? You won. Come and pick up your free bowling ball. So then there's the topics and elements. I don't know if these are good words, but they are reasonable. So the overarching topic, of course, the focus of this whole endeavor is the smarter smart city. That's what we're aiming at. But one might ask what a smart city actually is and what is involved with making it smarter. Definitions may vary. Each person may have a notion. In fact, that might be one of the questions. What do you think a smart city is? And then how would you make it smarter? And those are the topic areas, like what to start with. So presenting definitions that work and what makes sense is an important part of the challenge details, like what are we doing and why are we doing it? As well, some initial ideas, the planting of some seeds to get the ideas flowing. Those are the topics. And they may be some part of the judging criteria, if there's going to be prizes, and so on. So the topics, some initial thinking is a collection of topic areas, such as like maybe public safety, sustainability. So you can think water, but other resources as well, like how is the air in Vegas? Clean air, perhaps, hopefully. Government, which may be a bit broad, so maybe some refining of that one, but general, government, what is government doing? What are they not doing? How can we be more participatory? How can we get around them? Whatever, the possibilities are many. The economy, it's always a fun one, especially lately here in Vegas. Quality of life, community development, education, the list goes on and is maybe even on and on. Is not a collection of requirements necessarily, but starting points. If they correlate with judging of some sort or, some contest element, that's to be determined. But generally speaking, the idea is to enable people to tackle what they see around them or what they would like to see fixed, what they experience, how they are participating in Vegas today or Greater Vegas, what they would like to do in the future, what they would like to see. Yeah, anything goes. Anything at all should be on the table. Anything goes. The ideas will come from participants individually or as teams, though these topics might make it easier to group outcomes for demos and whatnot. So we could have these broad topics for the purposes of like demonstration. Like today, we're demonstrating economic outcomes projects that tackle the general economic considerations of Greater Vegas. So that we'll see. Those are the things to talk about with the early signups. I myself. Oh, wait. Yeah. Demos. Demos, I think, will be the most interesting part, whether there's prizes or not. Because guess what? The demos. Now, if you, here's a little secret, so don't tell anybody. If somebody has a cool idea, it's a long road. It's like maybe you go to a city council or you're trying to get support from your community or whatnot. Local media is really not helpful here. So you kind of have to begin this journey that some people choose not to, because who has time for this? Here, we're going to make that journey a common activity, you could say. Like if a lot of people are working in the same sort of mindset, like, oh yeah, I'd like to make our smile. Okay, so we'll work on it until January. And along the way, we're going to have some light shining on those ideas. And so anybody who has an idea now has a forum to share that idea and a platform to amplify the presentation of that idea. But don't tell anybody that. So I myself was thinking accessibility would be a good topic. But by the end of our very first meta planning meetup, which is 2 weeks ago now, about almost 2 weeks ago, it was clear that accessibility could and should be a consideration across all topics. That was like, okay, we'll just consider accessibility when it comes to signage or whatever, right? Like, no, you can apply that to everything, really, when you think about it. So that began some thinking around things like use of AI, what the outcomes format might be. Think presentation, video production, website, application, outreach campaign. The possibilities can vary per person, perhaps. Everybody will have their own notion. Like, I'd like to present my ideas in the form of a video documentary with some a documentary of the idea and my proposed solution, or our proposed solution, right? So totally on the table. We have plenty of content creators here in Vegas. Could happen. So now you could have it, but it could be something else that I haven't thought of. Hopefully that will be the case. So now you could have some incentive areas like, or maybe judging criteria, say best consideration of accessibility for community development, or best use of AI for economic development. And by the way, they're just so that we're not putting bias in, there should also be best use of not using AI, or best not use of AI, I guess. Because there should be, part of the idea here is to not send people away. We want to draw people in, not provide barriers like, oh, I'm not a coder. That doesn't matter. Come on in. You've got ideas and this is the place. I don't know how AI works. That's fine. Nobody does. Come on down. So there are a lot of possibilities here. And then there's recognition and celebration. And this often goes under the radar, as do people who are participating in these things. So I've talked about this a lot. It is something we lack here in Greater Vegas, where our major media outlets and even local influencers and content creators tend to focus on the fun economy, and that's trademark. Trademark's held by UNLV Office of Economic Development. So fun economy, crime, politics, maybe local construction that will force traffic delays and detours. Like those are the main thing, especially crime, unfortunately. If you look at the front page of any online news outlets, there's going to be some crime on there. This is something that is not difficult to address. Our effort is the Challenger Initiative. Is that name a coincidence? No. As a matter of fact, it is by design. Sort of when we facilitated participation in the NASA Space Apps Challenge in 2023, it became clear that participants took part without any sort of recognition here in Greater Vegas, and certainly without celebration of their accomplishments. This really can be a part of the incentive structure, being able to point to public recognition and maybe even celebration of an achievement. Like, hey, that's our team. We won a prize. Here's all the stuff I've participated in, et cetera, especially students, but also everybody. The Challenger Initiative is about constructing a platform that will fit into the information sharing landscape of Greater Vegas, especially the one that we are trying to bolster with the My Muni and Welcome initiatives. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, it is an incentive structure. If for no other, like, why did you, if a tree falls in the woods, right? Nobody's there to hear it. Did it happen? There's a certain degree of like, it's not even pride. It's just like, oh, hey, congratulations. It's nice to hear. It's nice to know that people know about it, have any idea. Hey, maybe they're rooting for, hey, yeah, the people at my son or daughter's team, whatever it is, like there's a sort of a parental pride, a community pride, a school, whatever it is, there's a lot of possibility. And if we never recognize this participation, do we get more or less participation? Something to think about. And this goes for everything, right? Challenges around the like VEX and FIRST robotics, the NASA Space App challenges. It doesn't really matter who's running it. It's about the participation and recognizing and celebrating that and the achievements and outcomes and so on. So good stuff. Looks good on the resume, right? The celebration of participation and, of course, those who win, in quotes, in various categories is also important. So the celebration part is there may be some question about motivation. If anyone who is not a winner is considered less than, right? Like, oh, you didn't win, therefore. But in this case, people who do participate in things, these are usually challenges are challenging. It's right there in the name. So participating, some people have opinions about participation trophies, but here the participation is itself a part of the undertaking. I've been to dozens of hackathons, as I said, as in a mentor role, and a reality show, and there are prizes and whatnot, but just the participation part is rewarding and educational. So, and you can pick that up in the different places where I was at these hackathons, for example. A lot of energy and whatnot. Just being there is part of it, and then we should make sure people know about that. There's awareness. One of the things about a hackathon that is sort of implied, it should be fun, educational, of course, and also fun. That's fun twice. One educational, two fun. So then taking part in the next one is appealing. Like, oh, that was fun. When's the next one? I would like to sign up, right? So maintaining that momentum is also important. Participating this year should lead to desire to participate next year. It should not be depressing, sad, a slog, right? At the end, it should be, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad we took part in this. And ideally, even if ideas don't win, in air quotes, there may be something that comes from an idea that was able to be seen and got some light shown on it. So that's also a possibility. Recognition and celebration are important ingredients to all of this. And by the way, it also helps to cultivate our innovation culture. 2 more sections. How big is Greater Vegas? I said we'd talk about this shortly. Here we are. So I've mentioned Greater Vegas a bit. What is that exactly? On the one hand, it is a Vegas that might be great today, and we can argue about that at another time, and possibly greater tomorrow. So a Greater Vegas, a better Las Vegas. Also, it is a geographical reference, so we get the double entendre, often suggesting inclusion of a city and its surrounding cities, towns, or unincorporated areas, which is true here also. Maybe alternatively called a metropolitan area. If you ask a visitor to the Strip if they are in Las Vegas, they will likely say they are, but they are not. Or are they? Administrative boundaries are one thing, but even the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign is not in Las Vegas, nor is the Las Vegas airport, nor is UNLV, the University of Nevada, at Las Vegas, and so on. In some respects, Las Vegas is a destination, in fact, one of the more recognizable destinations in the world, but not a formally defined bounded region, according to those headed for this destination. Are you heading to Vegas? So you'll be staying between the western boundary near Summerlin and the southern boundary along Charleston. I'm sorry, Charleston. Sahara, or, right? No, nobody does that. They're going to Vegas. The airport's not in Vegas, but that doesn't matter. There has even been talk of renaming Clark County to Vegas County, or maybe Las Vegas County. That would not be outrageous, to be honest, would it? Most of the things Clark County Commission comes up with are not great ideas, arguably. And I'm not talking politics. I'm talking generally speaking. Has this been thought through? But I think renaming the county might be interesting. It would it would make the confusion a little bit more reasonable. Like, am I in Vegas? The chances are greater now. We have we've made some attempts to reach out beyond Southern Nevada for participation and collaboration with regard to our initiatives with the foundation, well, which I've talked about in previous episodes, and which is an ongoing, slightly uphill climb, like 45 degrees. Similarly, what does it mean to be in Greater Vegas? And would it make sense to include those who visit or enjoy or maybe support Greater Vegas, even if they don't live here, in what we could call the eligible participation population? If we select a large enough boundary for what Greater Vegas is, everyone could be in Greater Vegas to participate. I wrote participation. So silly. To participate in the elevation of Greater Vegas. So if you want to be in Vegas, poof, you are. Virtually, perhaps. Ponder it. Think about it. What do you think? That's one of the questions that we will ask people in the early signups. But again, it's more about drawing ideas and participation in, not pushing people away. So personally, I'm a fan of more ideas. And if you don't live in Vegas, but you are interested, maybe you're considering to move to Vegas, maybe you come here frequently, maybe you work somewhere else, but you live somewhere else, I guess, but your company is in Vegas, or you get my personal favorite, the innovation destination. Your remote workforce converges on Las Vegas to collaborate in person every once in a while. So these sorts of things make non-residential locals a thing to ponder, and they can make our smart city smarter too, right? So getting started, the final section of today's audio program episode. For those participating or planning to, the first thing to do is to get started, or at least one of the first things. Is to consider the topic or focal area, or maybe something very specific that is appealing or which offers possibility. So when you first hear, oh, Smarter Smart City Challenge, what is that? Oh, okay, yeah, okay, and then I usually use potholes as an example. Those potholes haven't been fixed. I've lived here for 25 years and they're still there. That may be true, to be honest. Since community action on potholes has made the news here, like some people decided to fix them themselves. We're waiting for maintenance and repair to take place led to impatience and then that action. How would addressing delayed response to this pothole issue be generalized so that the outcome could be satisfactory without the need for individuals to do the work which the city or county and its services are actually equipped to do, not to mention they're responsible to take care of these things? So what happens to delay? And I don't think it was 25 years, but it was a while. What happens? Let's look at some of the workflow processes that can bog down and lead to a lower quality of life, damage to vehicles, possible injury if a pothole and a bicycle get into it, things like this. So how can we because a smart city should be able to deal with that. So maybe we need to be smarter. Is Las Vegas a smart city? We already talked about that. Some things. That saying, right? If you have to ask. It is likely that participants have not taken part in a startup weekend, which is a different thing, sort of like a hackathon with some extra stuff. So it's likely, and if we get the participation we are hoping for, it's a numbers game. So if we can get, I personally think about 1,500 people in the first year of this endeavor would be about right for a population of 2.3 million, 2.4 million. 1,500 is a small undertaking. We don't have to fit everybody in one room, probably. So it's likely that a lot of people in this cohort would not have participated in a startup weekend, but there is an idea in the startup weekend context, the idea is for several people in the overall group to present their startup idea to the other people in the room. So there are like startup founders, and then there are people who would be interested in participating as part of a little startup for the weekend. And they have a little weekend startup forum around the ideas that are interesting to those participating. So in other words, it's like a big mass pseudo hiring event. Does anybody want to work on my startup? Right? And then you make a compelling presentation and you're off to the races. A similar approach could be taken here, or some similarity in ideas might lead to formation of teams. Like, oh yeah, I've had the same issue. I'd like to work on that. Or maybe people know each other already, or they live near each other, or coworkers, et cetera. Or maybe allied teams. Like, oh, you guys are working on the west side and we're on the east side, but similar idea. They could help each other, maybe competitive competition. Maybe they join forces. It's hard to say, although it probably would be more fun to compete a little bit. Up to them. And as well, there would be some sense of the scope and grandeur of community-driven ideation towards improving the place we call home, or Greater Vegas, however we define that boundary. So basically, as you know, we could, if they're not presented in person, maybe write a short paragraph, like, here's what we would like to accomplish. And then if you collect all those, say it is 1,500 people, maybe you get 700 teams, 500, say 500 teams. How about that? So 500 ideas, you'll start to see things like, oh, there's a lot of mention of potholes. Why are those so hard to fix? Or whatever it is, right? So right away, by amplifying the voices of those people participating, you get more attention for these issues that might actually be real issues that have been under addressed. And what would be kind of cool is if that starts to draw in more people. Like, oh, okay, I get it. And by the way, I didn't really mention this. We'll get into this in part 2, perhaps. The notion of like, you must sign up by a particular day really only applies to the March 1st date. And it's not even, it has to be after March 1st. And then there will be a period of time where we're tuning things based on feedback from the initial early sign up people. But the actual, if it's June and you decide, oh, you know what, I do want to participate in this, that's fine. So there's aside from the hackathon dates and the demo days and whatnot, there will be some times and dates and places on the calendar. But as far as participating and getting in on the adventure, I think the NASA Space Apps Challenge, they enable you to sign up to participate and be considered for prizes and judging and all that. A minute before the event is over, like you can sign up whenever you want, and that works well, I think. And again, the idea is to draw ideas and participation in, not push them away. So if we said you have to sign up by April 1st or April 2nd, yeah, you have to sign up by April 1st. Nope, just kidding. So yeah, more participation, good. So, and whatever the boundary is. So, I live in, China. I live in Florida, some places far away. So I'm not really a part of the Greater Vegas area. Well, let's consider how we draw this map. Anyway, probably the moon might be too far away, but not. Did the Artemis 2 mission launch yet? I didn't even look. So, we're in space. That's fine. ISS folks, jump in. You probably have a better view of some of the things. So this is another reason for those early signups, to create a small cadre of people who will kick off this process, to throw some ideas out there and to whet the appetites of the greater general population, to get some lean in, to help people reach that aha moment, right? Oh, okay, I see what this is. If you have the sort of, the early signups, early adopters, they can then say, hey, do you want to be on my team? This is what we're doing. Check out the website or whatever. So it helps with some organic outreach. Getting the word out in Vegas, especially about something new, can be a challenge. And this would be helpful if people would be excited and energized about it, to say the least. But more importantly, people who have had something in mind for a while, the classic, I wish someone would fix this something, whatever it is, or similar. Maybe you have a completely new idea. Those are also encouraged. They have an opportunity to put their thoughts into a form that will ideally get more attention. Again, it could be a video presentation, could be a slide deck, could be a campaign to change minds or elevate, could be anything. And perhaps some action towards implementation. Maybe you'll convince people, hey, you know what? That is a good idea. And that is an adventure we will begin soon. Technically, we're already beginning it in the meta planning stages. So the planning stages will commence with the early signups. We'll get some things ironed out. Hopefully along the way, we'll get some sponsors and some collaboration. Collaboration being things like, hey, we'd like to make our parks better in whatever way. Having some collaboration from the parks and recreation departments, if that's what they're called. It's a good show, right? people who work with the city or related agencies, with the county, etc., if they could participate, they could possibly say things like, that's not possible. Can't do that. That's not legal. That's unsafe. So they'll bring some subject matter expertise. So the collaborators are sort of like mentors. As I mentioned, I've been a mentor in many hackathons. You basically, if somebody has a question or you kind of look around, see if anybody's struggling. I've done both. I used to work for Intel. Hey, I have a problem with my Raspberry Pi. Are you allowed to help? Nobody's saying anything about what I'm allowed to do. I'm here to help people. That's fine. Similarly, one time I was walking around. It was an Intel IoT hackathon, about 100 people participating. Luckily, pretty much all in one big room. And I saw someone, head on the elbow on the table, head on the hand, looking a little frustrated. I said, "What's up?" "Oh, I asked somebody how this worked and this and that." They were working with an Intel Edison, which is the product my team worked on. And I said, "Oh, so they said, oh, no, you're using the other serial port. So you have to just take your code here and replace that with it's serial port 1. Then the moment of truth, 30 seconds later, so sometimes people don't know to ask, whatever. So anyway, the collaboration elements, that would especially be true during a hackathon, but maybe via email or something. Hey, does this look like it would work? To be able to get that feedback will also be kind of encouraging, but also will inform the people that are doing these jobs that, people out in the world, the people I've been working for this whole time, are interested in this stuff. And look, they're actually taking some of the ideas that we've been having and they're trying to get them, like, there may be some synergy. That's always a good word. Anyway, these are possibilities. And if we do indeed live in an innovation-rich environment that is Greater Vegas, a global innovation hub, in fact, if you ask some people, these are things that should come as no surprise to anyone. Like, oh, look, good ideas. People have them. And now we know. So anyway, well, we can leave it there for today on this Tuesday, February 3rd. Be sure and check out innovateforvegas.org, and we'll put it on the .foundation also, but we'll put a link to the website, the calendar, etc., so that this information will be generally available. Getting the word out is always a challenge. We're using the LinkedIn page right now. Not helpful. A lot of passive following. Oh, I'll follow that page and then never interact again. I'll never tell anyone. I'll never share this with anyone, but I'm following the page. So it's like the bare minimum. One of these days, I'll talk more about missing persons. With respect to that, we already have our search party initiative, which has not even been written down yet. I've talked about it. It's a startup idea from recently here in Vegas. We'll talk about that more another time. That's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you for listening as always. Consider, if you will, participating in the Smarter Smart City Challenge once it commences March 1st. And at the very least, help get the word out. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.